Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we are on a bit of a brew centered around Baral and Kari Zev. This is a card that I played with a little while back, and we've gone in a very different direction today to see how this feels. So this is a 3 mana 2/4 first strike menace. It's blue, so it pitches to Force of Will, but it's a legend, so it does get bounced by Karakas. The reason we're playing it is this big block of text ability here. Whenever we cast our first instant or sorcery spell each turn, we may cast a spell with a lesser mana value that shares a type with that card from our hand without paying its mana cost. So if we were to cast like a 3 mana sorcery, we could get a 2 or less mana sorcery for free. But if we don't do that, then we get a 2/1 haste creature. So this does some stuff, but the way we're trying to abuse it is casting something like a Ponder or a Preordain or a Green Sun Zenith, and then casting either Crashing Footfalls or Ancestral Vision for some pretty good value. Now, there is a Crashing Footfalls deck in Legacy that uses Cascade spells to cast this on turn 1 or 2. So we're doing something a little bit different, but we can sort of grind into it, and we've got cantrips, so we're going to have more reliable sorts of things. We don't need to sort of burst into the scene quickly with these Cascade spells. We can sort of play a measured game. In order to duplicate this Baral effect, we also have As Foretold. So this is a 3 mana enchantment, gets a counter at the beginning of your upkeep, and once per turn, you may play a spell for 0, as long as it's got the mana cost equal to or less than the number of counters on this. So the turn we play this, it's got 0 counters on, we can play Crashing Footfalls or Ancestral Visions. So these don't have mana costs, so you can't cast them for their mana costs. But if you're casting them off of something else other than just casting them normally, like the As Foretold or the Baral, we can get these and cast them for 0. So that's kind of the plan here. So we've got 8 ways of making these 8 cards really good. Now, we are playing Preordain instead of Brainstorm because we need sorceries to trigger the thing we're trying to do. That's just a deck building consideration. Preordain is a bit awkward with fetch lands because we put cards on the bottom and then we shuffle our library, so then they kind of go away. But, you know, you got to play with the tools you've got, right? And Green Sun Zenith is a very powerful sorcery that really holds up several decks in the format. So we're trying to use that with Dryad Arbor, 2 mana dorks, a Birds of Paradise in case we need a flying one, and we need, you know, really good fixing. A Delighted Halfling if we want uncounterable fixing that's not quite as good because it's only uncounterable for legends. And we have a Collector Ouphe to shut down like the One Ring style decks. We have an Endurance to try and get rid of graveyards. And we have an Uro as a win condition. So that's kind of our little package for our Green Sun. Didn't really have room for more of that. We only had room for 3 Lightning Bolts. That tells you how tight we are for room here. We've also got 3 Force of Wills that we hopefully can control the game with a bit. But mostly we're trying to just overtake the game with 4/4s and kind of get there. Mana base wise, you've got a decent enough selection of basics, so we can play Blood Moon in the sideboard. And there's definitely a reason that we should be running less of these. I don't think this is the correct amount of these cards, right? 4 As Foretold and 4 Baral and Kari Zev. That's a lot of that effect. I don't think this is the right number, but this is the thing you do in deck building sometimes, where when you want to test out an idea or something or a new card, you put in the maximum amount of copies of it so you can see what it's like when it comes up, and then you shave back rather than sort of slowly incrementing up. We're not trying to win a league today. We're trying to test out this rough idea and see if it's got legs. And then, you know, if it feels all right, maybe we can fine tune it down the line. I did also consider doing a Bant version, like a hot Bant version, where we're basically just splashing for the Baral, and the rest of it is more like Bant, and our sorcery of choice is Prismatic Ending instead. So we go a little bit more control-y, but I figured if we're trying to make 4/4s and stuff, let's try and lean into like the Green Sun Zenith aggressive side of things instead. Whether or not it'll work, who knows, but it should be fun trying to find out. Sideboard-wise, we've got some, you know, pretty standardy things here. We've got some Abrades, we've got Pyroblast, some Endurance, so, you know, artifacts and little creatures. We only have 3 Lightning Bolts, so we need something else that hits creatures. This also has other utility. Pyroblast, just one of the best red cards in the format. Endurance, we need a little bit more graveyard hate, so that's what these are for. A couple of Force of Negations. There's a bunch of combo decks running around. Blood Moon is just a big no button to certain decks. And here's the spicy one. Inevitable Betrayal. Search target opponent's library for a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield under your control. So what we're doing with this is when we're playing against something like Reanimator or whatever, or Show and Tell, for example, we board these in, and when we do our As Foretold thing, instead of getting 2 4/4 Rhinos, we get whatever their best creature is. Pretty sweet. Not only that, this is more blue cards when we're swapping out our footfalls. So we have more blue cards, which means we're getting our Force of Negations and Force of Wills, having more things to pitch to them, which is going to be useful because the matchups we want these are generally combo decks like Reanimator, Show and Tell, stuff like that. So hopefully that will be quite a fun one, but we will see how it pans out. So this is the deck. It's a pretty wild one, and if you've got some wild ideas that you'd like to see on my channel, why not get in touch via the Discord, link in the description, and we can sort out a donation deck for you. I look forward to hearing from some of you. I've had some really good ones on the channel so far, so if we can keep that rolling, that'd be excellent. Like and subscribe. Let's play some Legacy. Right, we're into first round. We have Island Ponder, which is not a bad way to start. We could even suspend an Ancestral Vision if that's a thing we're interested in. I don't think it is right now. This seems okay. I played against this player a few times. I think they're on different things each time, but I can't remember. They definitely beat me last time I recorded a league. Oh, are they on lands? How do we fare against lands? Ghost Quarter. Life of Malone, Sylvan Library. Sure. Okay, so our lands might be in trouble here. So we're looking to ponder into some sort of additional mana sources. I did ask for additional mana sources, didn't I? So we'll put this one, and then the island. We'll not shuffle our library. We'll draw this island. Next turn we can get the Misty Rainforest, which gets us a green source. And then we should be away, hopefully. Like, we're going to get to do some cool stuff this game, I think. Like, we could just get wastelanded into the dirt a little bit, but the game's going to drag on for a few turns at least. They're not representing the... oh, they might be representing the combo soon. As early as this turn. Right, so they're going to take us off of the thing that's on top of our library, which is annoying. Yes, we'll use the ability. We'll go and get a forest here. That's not so bad. That means they're not setting up for the combo this turn. There's the Life of Malone. Just a casual draw 3. Now we can play this out. And we can cast a Green Sun for 1. I think next time we're probably going to Green Sun for 2 and get Collector Ouphe and shut off their mana sources. Maybe. That's the thing I'm interested in. I think we want the Birds of Paradise here to help fix our mana. So depending on what we draw, we might be able to go like Baral into Ponder, Ancestral Visions. That would be quite a good turn. Now, it might not be enough against a lands deck because they sort of measure the game in a different metric. Like quite often against lands, you can just lose the game with a bunch of cards in hand. All right, an exploration. They do have the Ghost Quarter, but we have more basics here. Expedition map. Okay, so they're representing the Marit Lage very soon. Let's see, is this going to get them the Dark Depths? Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. Okay. A little bit rude. I think we'll pay using this green source. We can always get green off of the Birds of Paradise. I think we are pondering, looking for more mana sources here. It's not really it, is it? Any order and shuffle a ponder. Okay, let's ponder off of the Birds of Paradise. Interesting. Do we want all of these? There's a lot of cards. I guess we can put the Vision and the Preordain away. And this. Draw this. Play our land for the turn. And I think we will suspend this Ancestral Vision now. They can Ghost Quarter our Trop, but we have more basics. We have 2 more basics in our deck. A crop rotation gives the potential lethal next turn, so we need to keep our Birds of Paradise untapped. Otherwise, Marit Lage can come down and ruin our day. I'm no stranger to Marit Lages, as you well know if you watch my channel. Oh, they're only on 8. There's a Saga, that's a pretty good one. Sphere of Resistance, yep. So like I said, we're probably going to lose this game with a bunch of cards in hand because we're just going to really struggle to push through all their taxing effects. So like they've got the Tabernacle, tapping on Mana Dork, they got the Sphere of Resistance, jamming us up for the rest of the things. It's a bit of a pain. I think we will play with the green here. Remove a count from this. If we want to cast Baral, we have to draw another land because Sphere of Resistance. So we can get a Mana Dork here, but then we have to pay 2 mana to get 2 mana, so it's not really getting us anywhere. Yeah, it's a real doozy, this one, isn't it? We could do a 2 mana Preordain, then hold up the Birds of Paradise in case we need to. We'll put this on the bottom, this on the top. We'll draw this, we'll play this, and pass the turn, I guess. You could suspend an Ancestral Vision. But we're going to try and get that off of the Baral. Thespian stage, copying Urza's Saga. Yeah. Okay, so they're not getting the Merit Lays just yet. But they are going to get an Urza's Saga factory that just churns out tokens every turn. Because once this gets the second counter, it gains that ability. Then it can turn into a different land, so it will never get the third counter. So it just constantly has the make a token ability, which is, as you can probably imagine, going to beat us quite easily. Unless we can really start rolling here. A wasteland. Okay, that's terrible news for us. Okay. I think we let our bird die here. Sad as that is. We found a mana source. Okay, like this. Oh, we could have tapped it for green with the Yavimaya, maybe. That might have been a smart play. We can shut off 2 Mox Diamonds here. Or we could make our creature that our deck is based around. That I doubt they can remove once it's in play. This can give us chump blockers. It can give us some cool stuff along the way. How many counters has this got? 2 counters. Oh, it's a long time, isn't it? 4 turns is a lot of turns in Legacy. But we're not playing this for the suspend. It's just worked out that way. So next turn we can Green Sun Zenith for something and play our Ancestral. Try and get some more mana sources on the go. Right, how screwed are we this turn? That is the real question. They are treading on themselves a little bit with the Tabernacle, but they have so much mana and just can constantly rebuy the Life of Malome if they need more lands. So I don't think that's the issue for them. They're just going to keep making big guys. Right, there's a Shadow Spear. Yep, that's a big one. Chump blocking, not really a thing we're going to get to do here. Another Sphere of Resistance. Alright, casting spells, probably going to be a difficult thing for us to try and achieve. Probably should have tapped the forest here, actually. Because all of our lands are forest right now. 2 lightning bolts. Doesn't really help us out here. I think we should just concede this one. Now, this is one of the reasons why I put 3 Blood Moons in our sideboard. I would like Blood Moons. I would like Braids. I'd like Endurances. I would like Force of Negations. Now, where do we fit these in is the next question. Lightning Bolt feels like it's not going to do us any favours here. Collector Ouphe's still got some useful text. Is this an Uro game? Not really into the Caracas deck. I don't think that's where we want to be. We've got plenty of card advantage and stuff here. We just want to make our Blood Moon and then protect it for the most part. So if we want to have all of these, that's 6 more slots, which is a lot of slots. The Mana Dorks are kind of good for us because they let us ramp out the Blood Moon, so I think we are keeping the Mana Dorks. Then we do want to keep the Collector Ouphe to shut down their Moxes and their... Because if we shut down the Moxes and we can Blood Moon them, they're not going to have the right resources. So we do need the Green Sun Zenith here, which means what are we trimming? Probably means we just have to trim some of our fun things, doesn't it? I think As Foretold is marginally better than Baral here. But if we just trim these and maybe only have 1 endurance that we're bringing in, is that right? The endurance is just there to stop a Life of Malome and that gets going. But we also have Force of Negation to stop that. Is this enough win conditions? I think so. Yeah, I think that's fine. We're just trying to Blood Moon them out, really. What does our hand do? I think we need more mana, really. More stable mana would also be good. Okay. We can turn 1 Preordain. I think we keep this and we get rid of a Dryad Arbor. It is a mana source, but it's a very bad mana source in this economy. Alright, this does have to get a blue source. And it does have to be an island, I think, just to save us from Wasteland. They do have a Ghost Court in the deck, but they have 4 Wastelands in their deck. I think we put this on the bottom and this on the top. And then we can ponder next turn. We've got spare As Foretold that we can pitch to our Force of Negation. Alright, opponent. Just a forest. Okay, let's ponder some more mana sources. Don't mind the Preordain either, to be honest. Put the Preordain and the Misty... Or is it the Trop and the Misty? This way we can play this out. And we have to worry about it being Wasteland. We're not cracking it next turn anyway. But then next turn we can play As Foretold and immediately draw 3 cards. So that's going to recoup our Force of Negation quite handily there. Very suspicious our opponent didn't do anything on turn 1. There's a Tabernacle. Okay. We didn't care about that just yet. Tropical Island. We want a red source, which I think means we're going for Volk. I think it's a Volk here. So we'll cast this. Let's draw 3 cards. Okay, we found another mana source. That's fine. Once this ticks up, we're just going to be able to cast more and more things. So we can draw 3 next turn. Do we care about expiration? No. I think we want to save the Force of Negation with something like Life from the Loam. That's where it really gets out of hand. A Wasteland. And an As Saga. Awkward, but we should hopefully be able to get the cards to work with this. Now, wastelanding our red source, as expected. Let's put a counter on this. Force of Will, that's a nice one to have. We will draw 3 cards. Alright. Now we're cooking with gas. We can play out a basic. We can play out a second As Foretold. Then we can cast this with our other As Foretold. And then we're holding up a bunch of things. Now, we will have to pay for these, but we're not having to pay for our spells, so should be alright. Savannah and a Caracas. Sure, so Baral looking less good into the old Caracas there. Let's pay for our rhinos. Yes. And yes. Yes. We'll put some counters on our As Foretold. A crop rotation. I will say no to this. Preordain. Another Force of Will. Happy to see that one. We can play the Scalding Tarn. Is it worth me doing a Ponder right now? Let me go to Tax Fest. Another crop rotation. I guess we'll just keep blowing up our opponent's lands here. Say no to this. Alright, let's just scoop into that. We just used our Force of Wills to wasteland them twice. Drew a whole bunch of cards. We got there. Do we want to do anything differently? I don't think so. Honestly, the As Foretold looked real good. Maybe we should be trimming one of these and having another As Foretold here. It's just so good against all their wasteland shenanigans. Sorry, Baral. Do we want another Crashing Footfalls? Is that where we want to be? I think we're still on the Blood Moon plan here, but our opponent's more likely to have Force of Vigor now, since they've seen a good enchantment we have. Sure, we can keep this. Island Preordain. It's not quite Ponder, but it's close enough. Our opponent's mulligan to 5, which means the power of our Force of Wills might be amplified somewhat. A basic forest. An exploration. I think this is one we are going to hit right now. Our opponent's unlikely to have many other spells going on. Get our Preordain up and running. We don't want this Crashing Footfalls. This can go on the bottom of the library, and this can go on top. And we'll draw it so we can deploy our Birds of Paradise without exposing ourselves to wasteland. Ancient Tomb. We're going to get a sphere. A sphere, sure. So we can play a Birds of Paradise, which helps get above that. We could also Abrade it if we want to, but I think it's going to tax our opponent quite a lot on their mulligan. And maybe put some activations on that Ancient Tomb that will help us out a little bit. We do need to find something else here. Okay, you have a Maya. A Sylvan Library. It's a very good one. Kind of will undo their mulligans. So we can play this. Just get a red source. We can blow up the Sphere of Resistance if we want to. And then we can Green Sun Zenith for a Mana Dork. Where does that actually get us is the question. I think maybe... I don't really want to suspend this Crashing Footfalls. We don't have anything that we can get with this that draws us a card either. So maybe we're supposed to hang back with this and the Abrade. And we can blow up the Abrade in our opponent's turn. I don't think waiting 4 turns for this Crashing Footfalls in the face of our opponent's Sylvan Library is going to be a winning recipe. So we can blow up this Sphere of Resistance and then play a Baral. Then we'll be in a good spot. A Dark Depths, okay. That definitely represents some problems for us down the line. A Life from the Loam. Sure, they're just putting this in their graveyards so they can start dredging it and getting value. So this means we're probably going to do our Endurance on our next turn. So we have a good thing to do with Green Sun Zenith that we'll be able to do once we play our Abrade. Our opponent's got 0 cards in hand as well, so they're living off the top. But they do have a Sylvan Library. And they don't want the cards on top because they put them back on top rather than drawing them with Sylvan Library, which is an important thing to note here. So what do we want here? Do you want a blue source or a green source off of our... I think it's the Volcanic Island here. We will destroy this artifact. And we'll untap. We'll draw for turn. Baral and Kari Zev. It's very tempting, but I think the correct play here is to shut down the Life from the Loam. Okay, Endurance. So we get rid of our opponent's Loam here. They got to keep the 2 cards on top they didn't want last turn off of the Sylvan Library. that they were probably going to try and dredge away. Now, they might have just been lands that they were going to get value from anyway, so it's not like we're brainstorm locking them or anything. But it should be annoying for them at the very least. We have 2 blockers for Marit Lage if that comes to it, but we can't really beat the Marit Lage once it's... Right, they got another one of those. Okay. Find another endurance, maybe? A Taiga. That is not another endurance, is it? So we'll play out our Taiga here. We'll go to tax. So the wording of this, it has to share a type. We could have got a guy if we just wanted to. We don't really have anything to abrade is the problem. We could like abrade our endurance for 2 more damage if we wanted to, but I don't think that's where I want to be here. This, and this for our friend. We're very unlikely to get a target to abrade this turn. Okay, they have a Thespian stage over there now. Not a big fan of that one. They can present a Marit Lage in the very, very near future. Because they can Life from the Loam this Thespian stage for 2 mana. Play the Thespian stage and they've got more than enough mana to make a 20/20. So we are going to be in Chump Block Town. So we really need to find a sorcery so that you can at least get some things to attack on the backswing. But yeah, our opponent's plan is probably going to win the day here. But we're not a million miles away. We've got a couple of chump blocks available to us. They don't have to pay life because they have the Yavimaya. A Misty Rainforest, you say? We're not brainstorm decks, so there's no point sandbagging these. Alright. Make your massive yacht. Yep. We don't have any real way of dealing with this. Our plan for dealing with this was to Blood Moon our opponent out of the game. We did not draw Blood Moon in either of the sideboard games. I think we'll go and get a Dryad Arbor off our Misty Rainforest. We really don't want to draw a Dryad Arbor. We don't really want to draw any lands, but Dryad Arbor especially. Okay, and there's a Saga, so they're going to be making some constructs soon as we hurtle our creatures under the bus. A choke, you say? Yeah, that's a real thing, isn't it? Goodbye, birdie. A Green Sun Zenith. This can get us another endurance and make our rhinos. So we tap this one, this one. Is this 1 damage important? So we attack for 5 this turn, or 6 this turn. And then, yes, okay. So I think we will just do this. We're all in on this rhinos. So this guy, I'd like to cast this. Where's our endurance? Get rid of your life from the loam. Begin combat. Attack with this and this. That's 3. 4, 5, 6. So our opponent can't block all of our guys. If they hold back on blocks next turn and they're only taking 3, they'll be on 8. So they can block this and take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They can block 2 guys actually, can't they? So they can block 3. They can block 7 damage. So we'll have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage next turn. So we only have to attack with these 2. And we can abrade the creature as well. Yeah, so this is the safest line. So we lose to Shadow Spear, which is why we're trying to get them clocked before this the Saga pops. But I feel okay about this. Like, we've presented a way of beating Marit Lage, which is not the easiest thing to do. Savannah. Oh no. This is going to be a Tabernacle. That's a bit of a disaster for us. Are they attacking with the Marit Lage, or are they just going to let us bleed out? They're just going to let us bleed out. Sure. A smart move. How do we beat this? So let's have a little think here. So they've got 2 blockers. And we can save 3 creatures here. So we can save this, this, and this. We attack with all 3 of these. Our opponent takes 4. Yeah, we should have gone in for the extra 3 last turn. This guy's got Menace, but he's not really one of the ones that we care about. We'll pay 1 here. This Rhino we need to keep, I think. This Rhino we want to keep. And unfortunately the other ones have to go to the bin. Awkward. A Delighted Halfling. You're no good. So we can attack and put 3 damage on our opponent. We lose one of our 4/4s to put them at 1 less life. But they're going to get the Shadow Spear, so we're just dead this turn anyway. Yeah, they go get Shadow Spear and we're dead. Oh, that was so close. We just needed to dodge the Tabernacle for 1 turn. Did feel good about it, but I assume they still have the Shadow Spear in their deck. We'll wait till we see it, but so close. Felt like an actual reasonable matchup. We didn't even draw our like big sideboard cards for this matchup in the Blood Moon. I think we could. This is a very winnable matchup, which is, you know, pretty good for this deck we cobbled together. I think As Foretold is very good against their mana denial strategy. Do you have a Shadow Spear? Show us the Shadow Spear. Yeah, okay, there we go, that'll do. They'll trample over and kill us this time. Oh, that was close. That was a good game. A lot of back and forth. I enjoyed that one. We're on the play for round 2. We have Island Ponder. We'll keep this. We're insulated from basics. I think we could just start. We can't start off with the Dryad Arbor actually because of the Green Sun Zenith, right? So we'll just ponder. It's going to be a turn 3 as foretold here. Preordain, Scalding Tarn. These are better than regular draws, I suppose. So we'll put them on top. And then we'll shuffle away next turn. Tide Shaper. Alright. This is a Merfolky type thing. So we know what the top card of our opponent's library is. Then we'll crack this for a basic forest. We will cast this Preordain. We want to keep one Preordain in hand for when we start doing other things. These are just not very exciting draws, are they? We'll put this on the bottom of the library. Do we want this Ponder? Kind of wish we'd have fetched an island now. That would have been better. I think we'll put it on top of our library. Because the turn after we cast the As Foretold, we can slam a couple of cantrips. Just Dryad Arbor being in our hand has been a bit annoying. I think we're just going to ponder our way to oblivion there while our opponent just plays guys that get big. A Master of the Pearl Trident. So we're going to take 3 damage from their Tide Shaper. This might be quite a difficult matchup for us. Like, our plan for aggro is to make 4/4 rhinos. But their creatures might often be bigger, as well as being unblockable. So that's not really going to do us any favours right now. I think we will get a... Do we get the red source and play into... I don't think we do. I think we get the blue source. And we'll try and cast this. It resolved. Okay, so next turn, we can get some free spells. And if we can find a land, we can then cast... We can get an Uro, which will give us some life, which maybe can get us towards stabilizing. We can start attacking with an Uro. And obviously, the more cards we find as we go on, the better it is. Prismatic Vista from our opponents. We're going to take a crash for 5 here, which is a third of our life total. So we're going to have to pull our finger out and actually win this. Start putting some stuff on the battlefield if we want to win this game. A Crashing Footfalls, you say? I don't mind if I do. Let's cast a Ponder. A black source. Interesting. Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. Even Merfolk splashing for Orcish Bowmasters. Alright, so let's have our Ponder, I suppose. Ancestral Vision doesn't seem so good right now, does it? So put that on top, and then... Are we shuffling our library this turn is the question. We can go and get a Mana Dork. I think we're just going any order and shuffling. Yep, you can get your Bow Boy doing its thing. And play this out. Let's cast this with As Foretold. Get some rhinos. We can Green Sun Zenith for 2 here. That's just like Collector Ouphe. I think we need to Green Sun Zenith for Uro and Endurance as our ways of winning this game. I don't really want to draw another card and pump that guy. I guess we have to pass here. Or are we supposed to... No. So we have to play Uro into Uro. So maybe we're supposed to get the Ouphe there actually, since we're not going to be doing it next turn anyway. Okay, the Ouphe is looking better. We definitely should have got the Ouphe. I don't think this is going to do much for them in this game. So I'm going to attack with these 2, I think. Oh, just the Tide Shaper. Oh, it's other Merfolk. Okay, that's fine. So we only take 3 here. Wouldn't mind drawing a Lightning Bolt. That would be handy. We do have those in our deck. Let's have another counter on this. A Collector Ouphe. So we drew the Collector Ouphe. So I think we'll crack this for... We do want to be able to cast Lightning Bolt. We can cast it with As Foretold if we find it on our opponent's turn anyway. So we'll go and get this forest, I think. And we'll cast this. We lose 1 life from the ping, but we gain 3 life. So I think that's worth. Let's go Uro. We'll put this... this is an awkward one to put on the battlefield. But if they ping this instead of us, I don't actually mind that. It's kind of like bait, really. No, they're just going at our face, I think, aren't they? And then I think we cast this for free. We go to tax. We send in 1 rhinoceros. Oh, what is this? Merfolk Trickster. Tap target creature an opponent controls. It loses all abilities until end of turn. Okay. We're losing our rhinoceros. Be interesting to see what they attack with here. We do get to escape our Uro. And we can Green Sun Zenith for a guy. Right, so these both have Island Walk, don't they? Oh, yeah, they both have Island Walk. We're just dead here, aren't we? Okay, this is going to be a difficult matchup. We have a Pyroblast and some Abrades here. Our Force of Wills, pretty bad here. Truth be told. Have another Endurance. It's a thing that can beat down. I guess we... I don't know. I don't think we want the... We're just kind of trying to beat our opponent down, I think, here. Do we want to Invisible Betrayal and try and steal, like, Orcish Bowmasters? I don't think that's good enough. We could possibly get some Scary Merfolk if there is one. I don't know if there is. I think we're just going to stick with these things and hope that our 6 removal spells can get us there. Like, we can make some Rhinos. Rhinos are good. Alright, we've got a removal spell, but we are susceptible to Wasteland here. We have a Ponder, so we're going to keep this. We can shut off a Vial as well. Once again, this is the one that can go wrong in a multitude of ways, as many of the hands we keep in many of the games do. But you can't play a 3-colour deck without a little bit of risk here. So, start off with the Volcanic and the Ponder. Let's find some mana sources. None of you are mana sources. Any order, shuffle. Okay, a Ponder. So we can Ponder next turn to look for a mana source if we don't find one. Otherwise, we can drop the Ouphe or kill their guy, depending on what they do. Cavern of Souls. This is why we board out the Force of Wills. An Aethervar, sure. I would love to draw a green mana source. Come on, deck. Green mana source. There's a green mana source. But do we want to rifle through all of these cards? Not really. So put the Crashing Footfalls and the Ponder back. And put this on top. So we can play this out. Now we have 2 choices. We can either Green Sun Zenith for a Dryad Arbor and shuffle that Ponder off the top of our library. Or we can play a Delighted Halfling, which lets us next turn... I think we're just getting the Dryad Arbor, actually. Yeah, I think that's the one. So next turn we can Collector Ouphe and Lightning Bolt. Prismatic Vista. Okay, they might have that weird little tappy guy. If they do, they'll probably fire off in our upkeep. Okay, they don't have the weird little tappy guy. So I think we go this and this for a Collector Ouphe. This holds up our Lightning Bolt. And I think I'd rather deploy this Halfling. And then we'll hold up the Lightning Bolt. What have you got, opponent? Is this an Orcish Bowboys? It's fine. We lose our Dryad Arbor. But we're doing okay for mana right now. Just another Orcish Bowboy. Silvergill Adept. Sure. Revealing a Merfolk Trickster. That's a little tappy guy. Sure. They can't attack into us here. So that's something. A Cavern of Souls. Another Aethervar. Good. That's shut off. I don't think we need to start sniping any of these guys just yet. We've got quite a lot of mana, so we can probably do it on their turn when the time comes. None of these are sorceries, unfortunately. We'll tap this for red, and then we go this and blue. We will make our Baral here. An uncounterable Baral. Do I want to throw a 2-1 at our opponent at the cost of Lightning Bolting right now? I think the Lightning Bolt is better on a Lord, so I'm going to pass here. If we find a sorcery, we get to draw a lot of cards. We obviously will kill the Bowmasters before we do that. Waterlogged Grove. Alright, what are they playing green for? Or is this just a blue land that cantrips? Seems the most likely that it's just a blue land that cantrips. There are green merfolks though. I think it was Ixalan had like a bunch of them. And there was a couple that were like playable. I don't think our opponent's deck can afford wastelands if they're playing Bowboys as well. So we know they've got this weird little tappy guy. Another Baral. That's not what we wanted really, was it? So we'll go to combat. This guy has Menace, so we can get some work done with it. Here's a little tappy guy. I think they're probably going to tap down our Baral here. Right, we're not attacking with it. Again, I want to keep our Lightning Bolt for removal on a Lord. Like, they can actually push some damage this turn if they want to. What does this do? This is a Lord. Sure, that's fine. We don't want to cast removal until our Baral has its abilities, because that way we can at least get our 2-1, which can block and blow them out in combat, which is the plan. We only have access to 1 red mana right now, so we can't do quite what we want. Let's do this. Just gives us a 2-1 to block with, so it's effectively 2 removal spells. This fizzles, but that doesn't really matter. We've already got our guy, and we've got the guy off the board. Another Trickster. Okay. What is this Trickster going to do? Tap down our monkey. Sure. Now our opponent could have another Hex Catcher, so we're just going to take this rather than trying to trade with our Delighted Halfling. We don't want to get caught by that or a bow. Like, we don't mind if the bow boy gets it. Or is it another bow boy? A Tide Shaper. Target land becomes an island. Does that mean we're going to lose our red source here? Is that how that works? It just becomes an island. Yes, okay. So we have no red source now. That's annoying. Okay, we drew a red source. I guess we can go to attacks. Attack with both of these because they trade with everything on their board. They have to put 2 things in front of this. It has first strike, so it's not very good for them to block this. And if they somehow manage to kill this, right, so they can trade these off. This is legendary, so we want to trade it off so we can make another one when we cast the Abrade on our opponent's turn. I feel like we are in a reasonable position here. This Ancestral Vision is looking a bit awkward if we don't get rid of the bow boys. So maybe that's the thing we'll do, and then use the token to kill something else. We'll see what they play. It looks like they're playing a spell first. Okay, they're cracking their Waterlog Grove. Waste land. Understood. Alright, so we will deal 3 damage to this Bowmasters, I think. Just can trade with a bunch of their guys. Now if we draw any sorceries, we can then do our Ancestral Vision. So these are both on Merfolk. Alright, so draw a sorcery deck. The deck is built around sorceries. They can triple block, and then we can just replay another barrel. That's fine. Sure. They have to triple block here, otherwise they get blown out by the first strike. Alright, there it is. So we would like to put 2... Why would it not let me assign blockers correctly here? Okay, I've assigned the blockers wrongly. I want to get rid of one of the 2/2s. Let's just play another one. Who'd have thought a 2/4 Menace first strike guy would be the best creature on a board on turn 7 of a game of Magic the Gathering? But here we are. If we'd have suspended this Ancestral Vision ages ago, we could have drawn the cards by now. But we have a bunch of sorceries in our deck. Come on, sorcery. Our Dryad Arbor's gone, so this doesn't fetch us anything. Do we want to let them triple block this time? I don't think we do. I think we just attack with the Ragavan here. Happy to trade this token for any one of their guys. It feels more like a limited game now. Alright. Some Ether Vials, get some counters. Or not, I guess. Sorcery, please. Guess we go to attacks. Our opponent probably knows we've just drawn another Baral. Bow boys. Sure. Goodbye, Ragavan. Let's get rid of this Tide Shaper first, because that means we get our Volcanic Island back. Now we don't want to cast Ancestral Vision. Another reason why just suspending the Ancestral Vision is a little bit ropey is because our opponent is a bow boy deck, and we don't just want to get absolutely pummeled by that. We do know that the next card we're going to draw is going to be a sorcery, like a cantrip, so that our Bowmaster's damage is like insane. So it's going to be Ponder or Preordain. Oh, that's not one of those 2 things. Interesting. I don't think we attack though, sadly. Our opponent's just not drawing any Lords, which is good for us, but I guess they've had to cut something to play these bow boys. Silvergill Adept. Revealing Silvergill Adept. I see, that's why they weren't playing them. Makes sense. Silvergill Adept feels like a risky proposition in the world of Orcish Bowmasters. We've got lots of mana, so we're not going to fire this off now. We'll see if we draw a sorcery. Oh, Lord. Are we supposed to suspend this now? I guess we just keep playing the waiting game here. Might crack this fetch just to shuffle up those... Like, I would cast a cantrip here, even if we didn't have the Bowmaster's dead, just so we can get this Crashing Footfalls online. Oh, yikes. What a silly game. What is this? You found a Lord, or is this another Tide Shaper? A Silvergill Adept. Silvergill Adept revealing the Voldalian Hex Catcher. Right, we're getting some attacks coming in here. Block here. And do we want to put the Halfling on there? Because we know the... Would I trade my Halfling for the Trickster? I think I would make that trade. This way, if they play the Hex Catcher, we still kill their guy and we can save the burn spell for their Bowmasters. If we draw a cantrip. Crack this. Right. We've got another red source, so that's going to be a Taiga. As Foretold. What does this do? Non-creature spell. So how many merfolk do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. We definitely want this As Foretold to resolve. So they'd have to ping off 2 of their guys to stop it resolving. How do I feel about that as a thing? I do want this Bowboy dead as well. Let's try this out. Or maybe we just cast this. And if they want to sacrifice 3 merfolk to counter it, I don't really mind. Okay. So let's cast this for 0. We get ourselves a little guy. Got 2 4/4s. So our Abrade isn't really going to be removing much right now, because they would just sacrifice their worst guy. It's a weird, long, drawn-out game, this one. We need to keep an eye on our clock as well. How many counters do we want here? We have this Preordain, which is an interesting one. Geez. If we target the Bowboy, then we can just keep drawing cards, and that's probably going to work out well for us. Let's try this out. We are not going to cast this. How many merfolk do you want to ping off us? Alright, let's try and draw 3 cards. You got another Bowboy? You do not have another Bowboy. Interesting. So we can play this Tropical Island. We can Green Sun Zenith for an Uro here. This will get a counter spell out of our opponent. I think I actually want to Preordain here. Bowboy strikes again. Goodbye, Ragavan. This game is weird. Bottom. Sure, you can make your guy slightly bigger. Don't want to suspend that. Don't want to cast this for 2. Guess we go to attacks here. So next turn we can make some more rhinos. We have to decide if we want the Ragavan body or the mana. I guess it depends what we draw here. Alright, our opponent still doesn't want to attack. I'm probably going to time us out at this rate. Yep, we'll have a counter on our As Foretold. Come on, deck, what you got for us? An Endurance. That's an interesting one. So if we cast this with mana, and we'll say no to this, and then we'll cast Crashing Footfalls off the As Foretold. I think I'd rather have the body here. A Daze. Pay. I'm going to sacrifice one of their guys. Right, we're not paying for that one, I guess. Could have played out our Misty Rainforest first. We'll play this out now, I suppose. That's a bit embarrassing. We'll cast this As Foretold here. Off the side from As Foretold. Let's get some rhinoceroses. Let's go to attacks. Send in the boys. Let's just F6 this turn so we can have a bit more time if we can get to a game 3 here. Alright, they scooped it up rather than trying to play for time on that turn. That's nice for them. I don't think we want Blood Moons. Do I want these Inevitable Betrayals for the Bowmasters? Is that better than Ancestral Vision? I don't know if it is. Like, Ancestral Vision can be awkward for us, for sure. Like, if they've got all these Bowboys and stuff. Let's try 2 Invisible Betrayals in here. Let's try that out. Alright, so we need to try and win this game. Which is another reason why I'm kind of into the Invisible Betrayals. What does our hand do? It has a removal spell. Okay, I'll take that. So our opponent does have Wastelands in their deck as well, which is important to note. There's a Merfolk. This is going to be a Mist Caller. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield, it wasn't cast, blah, blah, blah. Does some stuff. Do I care about killing this? I don't think so. I think we need to ponder here. We'll get a basic item for this. Looking for a bit more mana, ideally. Oh, I can't really turn this lightning bolt down, though. And we can shuffle off the ponder. Alright. 2 lightning bolts, and then possibly an Uro game plan. That seems fine. Right, he's going to make the guy and attack us for 2. Sure. So bash us for 2. We want to do this now so it gets around their Hex Catcher activation. And we'll cast this ponder, looking for more mana. Shuffling these away. I don't think I want those. I think we'll go any order and shuffle. Alright, rewarded. Excellent. We need 1 more land and a sorcery. Let's see what our opponent does this turn. Just the 1. Not so bad. If we draw a land, I'm very into playing this Uro. Unless it's the Dryad Arbor we draw. Even so, I would still play it, I think. But Silvergull Adept, revealing Lord of Atlantis. Okay, so we have a thing that we need to hit with our lightning bolt. Wasteland. That's pretty good against us. Okay. We're not playing the Uro this turn. An Endurance. Play this out and try and kill the Lord of Atlantis. So they've got another Wasteland and they Wasteland us first. That's a real daggers. There's the Lord of Atlantis we know about. See if we can kill it with a lightning bolt. We did. Okay, so we're going to take 3 this turn. Need a green source here. Preordain. We'll put this on the bottom and put this on top. And play this out. Our opponent's got a lot more time in their clock, which is a bit of an issue for us. I think we have to just F6 these turns. I don't think we're getting a Dryad Arbor off of this. Right, Master of the Pearl Trident and a Wasteland. I think our opponents might win this game. Scalding Tarn. Okay, so we'll get a green source here. And we'll get a red source. We'll get the... Oh, we can't get the Taiga here, can we? So if we play this, they kill us. So we play this one and we might survive. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we might get another turn here. I don't think we are going to win this game. We need to find a lightning bolt or an Abrade to kill the Master of the Pearl Trident and make another guy. Okay. I guess all the lords from game 2 that weren't there were in this game, so that's where they were hiding out. So what can we make here, realistically? Nothing. Did not quite get there. We're on the play for round 3. Our hand does not really help us out here. Let's mulligan this one. Iron Ponder. I'll keep this. Oh, they've exiled Serum Powder. Alright, so they're one of these people. I see. This means we don't cast our Ponder on turn 1 because we need to keep the blue card for our Force of Will. We don't just want to get bopped. So we'll keep this and we'll get rid of one of these lands is fine. So we'll play out Misty Rainforest and pass. We can lightning bolt something. So if they somehow play a card that slips through, seems unlikely, but Crystal Vein, Volcanic Key, sure. Do we go and get the Dryad Arbor so we don't draw it? I think so. This is also something that can pressure. Okay, so now we actually have a blue card to pitch. So I think we'll get this island and we will cast this Ponder. As Foretold is one of the things we want to be doing with our deck. How good are lightning bolts here? Not especially great. We can put a lightning bolt on top, then an As Foretold, and then this other As Foretold. Are we shuffling these? So I think what we're going to do is we're going to pitch this one to the Force of Will. The second one we can keep, and then we can shuffle away. So yeah, so we can keep the second one, shuffle away to the lightning bolts, unless we decide we really need it. I guess Baral and Kari Zev is pretty good with one lightning bolt, but you don't get multiple 2-1s because they're legendary. There is an Urza Saga. That's a pretty good Magic the Gathering card. Grim Monolith, that's fine. We just want to counterspell the payoff, like the One Ring. We do have Collector Ouphe in our deck. Maybe we were supposed to shuffle up under and hope we can draw that. Paradox Engine. No, thank you. That lets them just go infinite pretty easily. Play this. So we want to get a tropical, a Taiga here, I think, because we want the red mana. I think we cast the Baral here. This can represent the most clock if we need to actually clock our opponent, which is a thing we might well have to do here. Now that Paradox Engine might have been some bait to let the One Ring resolve, but we can't really let either of those resolve. Are they going to be making constructs, or are they going to be deploying a 4-drop? They have the Ring, Karn, the 4-mana thing, which is a name I've temporarily forgotten, and Urza Saga. So that's like the 16 cards in their deck that do stuff, and the rest of it is all just engine around it. I don't think our opponent has the One Ring, because then they would have slammed it by now. Oh, no, they do have the One Ring. I see. I see. Okay, this game is looking somewhat over. If I don't find the Collector Ouphe now, I think the game's done. I think we should have shuffled with that Ponder earlier to try and find the Ouphe. There's more. And what's Opal? And a Karn. Alright, our opponent had quite the selection of things. What are they going to get here? Get Lattice. We got Paradox Engine. Okay. If we can find a Collector Ouphe. That doesn't look like a Collector Ouphe, does it? We can lightning bolt their Karn here. Crack this for Tropical Island. We want a second red source. I don't think it's going to matter here, but here's our As Foretold. We can attack our opponent, but they have protection from everything, so there's no point. Alright, opponent. I've F6'd. You can go wild. So they're going to draw, what, 2 cards, then 3 cards, then 4 cards. So they're drawing 8 additional cards this turn minimum from what they've got on board right now, because the Urza Saga will get them another key. There we go. There's the other key. Or are they getting mana with it instead? Yeah. I guess they cast their Paradox Engine and it doesn't matter. Sure. Right, I'm tapping a whole bunch of stuff. We get to see more of our opponent's deck here as well. Yeah, so they're just going to keep doing this stuff. And then they'll kill us with a Walking Ballista, I suspect. And every time they cast a spell, they have all their triggers to untap everything. So in response to that, they want to make sure everything's tapped. They've currently drawn 9 cards from the One Ring, I think. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cards they've drawn with the One Ring now in one turn. So now they have their Karn. Go and get themselves a Walking Ballista. Oh, they got the Aetherflux Reservoir instead. Sure. That does seem a swifter way to go about it. So only 5 spells cast this turn. So they've got to cast a few more. I'm just doing this so I can see more of the cards in their deck in case I have anything unusual. I suspect it's going to be within 4 cards of the deck I played against the other day twice. This deck is pretty format warping, I think. It basically requires you to run Null Rod effects, because Artifact Destruction doesn't beat this deck. I guess Deafening Silence is a realistic way of beating this deck as well, because it is like a colourless Storm deck because of Aetherflux Reservoir. Alright, I think we've had enough here. They've had plenty of stuff, so we'll scoop it up. Alright, so what is useful here? The Blood Moon's shutting off Urza's Saga is nice. Counter spells here are also nice, and the Abrades are nice. What is not useful here? Karn can be hit by lightning bolts, so that is something to consider. I think the Euro is going to be too slow. I also think that some of our shenanigans is possibly going to be a little on the slow side too. So I think we're probably trimming some of these. We don't need an endurance. 3 more slots to find here. We have 3 lightning bolts. I do think we need to keep lightning bolts just so we can pressure Karn and possibly our opponent's life total. We want to keep our mana dots because this lets us turn 2 Green Sun Zenith for Collector Ouphe. Maybe we're trimming, but these help us find more counter spells. Yeah, this is tough. This is a real tough choice. I guess you could argue how useful is the Blood Moon. Like, Collector Ouphe plus Blood Moon should be game most of the time. So maybe we don't need our other stuff here. So you can trim back on these and maybe take out one of the lightning bolts. Sure, we'll try it like this. This game is basically, do I have a Collector Ouphe or not? We have a turn 2 Blood Moon with counterspell backup. I don't think that's good enough though. I think we need... If we find a second land, this is turn 2 Collector Ouphe. I think that's worth keeping, because we Dryad Arbor on turn 1, have Force of Will up. This makes sense. So get rid of Blood Moon. Also, this is a Serum Powder deck that our opponent's playing. And as a general rule, when decks in Legacy are playing Serum Powder, it either means they're playing a suboptimal deck or the deck is kind of broken. So you can play Serum Powder and not be a bad card. Okay, so we will do this. We will Green Sun Zenith for 1, or for 0, sorry. Get the Dryad Arbor. If we find a land, we get the Collector Ouphe with Force of Will backup. And that should be good enough to win the game. Most of the time. There's a Lotus Petal. Good, Monolith is fine. I think we just have to counter the One Ring, really. Or Karn. Voltaic Key. Sure. And we're going to get turn 1. Karn, Scion of Urza. I don't think we can allow a Karn to resolve. This feels like a bait spell as well. We really need to find that land this turn. We did not find the land. That is pretty awkward for us. I guess we're going to attacks. So our opponent probably has one more turn of setting up. We will suspend this Crashing Footfalls. They might be able to have enough mana to go off this turn still. But I think we have to counterspell Scion of Urza because our plan here is to stop all the artifacts. So we have to counter the artifact, the things that aren't artifacts. Okay, Mystic Forge. This is okay underneath the Collector Ouphe, but not amazing. They don't get to like repeatedly use it to exile cards from the top of their library, but they can still play all the cards until they find something useful. Alright. Is the best Storm deck in the format actually a colourless artifact deck? Maybe. Alright. Draw land. Alright. I guess we Green Sun Zenith from Mana Dork, so we have it guaranteed next turn, but missing on the land twice I think is going to cost us this game. Look at the birds. Yeah, our opponent gets so many looks at it this turn. There's the engine. So every time they play a spell, they get to scry 1 pretty much for 1 life. But they only have 9 lives, so they could run out of the ability to do that if they don't find the things they're looking for. Mystic Forge. Everything gets untapped. Yep. So just getting all their mana. All they need to do is not brick into 9 lands in a row with Mystic Forges. Karn, Scion of Urza. Sure. So the reason they play this Scion of Urza out of the board is against decks that can cast things like Collector Ouphe. They just want to shut down. They want to be able to win the game if they've been shut down. So they can. So Urza Saga and Karn, Scion of Urza can do that. And it's also just another thing you have to counterspell if you're a blue player. Pretty good. Our opponent is very much cooking with gas over there. Another thing about this Paradox Engine deck is it's not particularly fun to play either, which is awkward because you have to go through so many horrible little clicks and doing all your stuff. And it's just a bit of a burden to play. So you know it's good if people are playing it despite having to make like a million clicks. I think it's more click-oriented than Alluring can be. And at least Alluring, you demonstrate a loop so that, you know, your opponent can just concede a bit more easily. Whereas this one, there is a very minor chance your opponent can fizzle sometimes. It's very, very small though. Defense grid, sure. Right, they're having to pay some life. So if they have a Walking Ballista, they can just win now. The One Ring, okay. This should give them the ability to win the game now. As long as they find 1 or 2 more cards that they can cast. Alright. Making a 15-15. Playing another Karn. Untapping everything. Drawing a bunch of cards with the One Ring. Have you found a Great Creator? Or a Walking Ballista? Another Defense Grid? There's the kind of Great Creators. This will go get the Reservoir and we're dead. Sure. So these games are very swingy. They tend to be either you play your Collector Ouphe Null Rod effect and you win, or you don't have it in time and you lose. But you have to sort of let them click through it. So not necessarily sure this is the healthiest deck in the metagame right now in terms of play experience, because nobody has a good time when it's on the battlefield, really. Anyway, let's go to round 4. Welcome to round 4. I'm going to keep this hand, and I'm going to lead out on a Birds of Paradise. We are still looking for our match win here, which has been a little bit elusive so far. Okay, let's try a Birds of Paradise. If they lightning bolt this, untap and wasteland us, then I'm going to be very sad. Oh no. A Brainstorm. Okay. We can pitch a Ancestral Vision to Force of Will, which I think is better than pitching the Ponder, because we might need the Ponder to dig for a land in a second. Alright, so we're looking at a Grixis Delta. Are we going to get Bowboyed? I think we say no to this one. We get Dazed here? No, they're going to Force of Will back. Okay. There goes our Birds of Paradise. Our Ponder now becomes worse. Understood. Right, we'll play out a Delightful Halfling, which gives us an uncounterable Baral if we find another land. We've definitely been struggling with lands some games, but then other games we've had loads, so I guess it's Preordain is a much worse... Okay, there's the lightning bolt. Preordain is a much worse cantrip than a Brainstorm, I guess is what that actually means. Preordain is better versus Bowboys. I guess we are casting a Green Sun Zenith for a Dryad Arbor. We can trade it with Bowboys, which I think I probably do, given the chance. They're not going to give us that chance. They might do, but they might think we value this land more. A Narset, sure. Narset and Orcish Bowmaster is an interesting combo. They're doubling up on the same effect, but you're kind of making one of the effects worse. Like the Bowmasters. Now I don't think I block here. I think I attack the Narset so it dies on an activation. Alternatively, we can cast the spells. Oh, jeez. I'm just getting absolutely wrecked by my mana today. Let's attack Narset. There's a Brainstorm. Yeah, it's getting kind of ruined by Lord of the Rings cards all day is what's been happening, to be honest. Bowmasters and the One Ring. Not been our best friends today. What are we losing? We lost a Baral and an Endurance. I see. Oh, we might finish this game with no permanents in play. It's possible. I guess we suspend this. Snapcaster Mage. What is this going to find? Another Hymns of Turak? Yep. Bring it on. Yeah, we're getting absolutely bodied here. I guess we can ponder just to look at the top 3 cards. We're not going to draw a card and pump their Bowmasters. This means we're just more likely to draw something for next turn. Jeez. So put the Uro in our hand, then have the Lightning Bolt, then the Island. This way, if they discard us... oh, sorry, we don't even get the Uro in our hand, do we? We're supposed to put the Lightning Bolt there. Alright, they've turned back on our draw effects. Colligan's Command. Okay, so they're going to hit us in our draw step, maybe. Bowmasters. I think we can just call this one. We just got stuck on one land, and our opponent's got all the things in the world. Alright. The mana base looks a bit greedy. I'm going to catch him out with a Blood Moon here. Pyroblast is going to be useful for us. These braids, these endurances, all this sort of stuff seems pretty good. Don't think we want Inevitable Betrayals here. This isn't a Collector Ouphe matchup. I don't think we want Force of Wills. We're not trading 2-for-1s. Some amount of our draw, like extra draws, feel kind of sketchy. So I think... do we think they've got a top end like Shouldered? If so, we can play some Inevitable Betrayals. But I think we get rid of at least 2 Ancestrals here. Maybe we just get rid of all of the Ancestrals. That doesn't feel right. Maybe we get rid of 1 Baral and 1 As Foretold. Since we're boarding in these 3 drops. So we're down to 6 and 6 of our sort of, I say combo, but... Okay, we can keep this, I guess. We've got a lot of lands. I don't think we want to just accelerate into a Baral. I think we're just going to play out a Misty Rainforest here. We don't mind baiting out a Wasteland if they have one, to sort of slow the game down potentially. Because you've got 3 more lands in hand. A Volcanic Island. We're not going to fetch the Dryad Arbor here. Hello, Dryad Arbor. We could get Delighted Halfling here. But we got so much land in hand, I don't really want mana ramp. I know it does make our Baral uncounterable. But we're spending a whole spell for that. When we could... And it's also a halfling that can just get eaten by a Colligan's Command. Whereas we could probably just do some sort of Baral shenanigans soon. There's a Ponder, sure. We're not going to Pyroblast Ponders, I don't think. We're looking at hitting something like a Narset. It's probably the high end of what we're looking for there. A Baral. Okay, so we can just jam this one. We don't care if it resolves or not. So this can get us a basic island to work with. This can get us a basic forest. And we've got another forest for the endurance when we want it. Our opponent's deck didn't feel like a Daze deck in game 1. It was all like hymns and stuff like that. Alright, we've got our somewhat mediocre man. Bloodstone Mire. Baleful Strix. Okay. We have First Strike and Menace, so we don't really care about that one. If it trades with a Ragavan, that's not a big deal either. I don't think we want to just do our Pyroblast here either. So I think this is a turn where we play out our Dryad Arbor and we go to attacks. We can get punished for playing out this Dryad Arbor if our opponent wastelands us and then casts a blue spell that we want. Right, a Brainstorm. I think we allow that. We're just trying to hit the Narset and stuff because that actually shuts down one of the main things we're trying to do and draw more cards with cantrips and the Ancestral. Orcish Bowboys. Sure. It's annoying, but, you know, I'll survive. Right, so we're probably going to get pecked for 1 by the Strix. No. They can't block this effectively because we have First Strike on it. Oh, the mana in this game has been unkind, I would say. I think it's fine to order them like this. First Strike damage felt pretty good. I imagine this means a Lightning Bolt. Or it's just a misplay. It's one of the 2. We have a follow-up Baral, so we don't really care if they do Lightning Bolt it. There's the Lightning Bolt. Sure. A Brainstorm. Again, I don't think we're trying to Pyroblast Brainstorms. We have 1 Pyroblast. It needs to be saved for something important. If they run Murktides, then that's a good target for it. If they have Narset, that's another good target. Alright, let's say no to this. This is what we've been disciplined holding it up for. Alright, that was good for us. Preordain. I think I want to cast the Endurance here. Just get rid of their graveyard so there's no Murktides or anything coming our way. Alternatively, we could get an Uro here. A Fluster Storm. We do not have 2 mana to pay here. Bring ourselves another Volcanic Island. Cast a Preordain while there's no Bowboys. As Foretold and Tropical Island. I don't think this is where we're at right now. Alright, Tropical Island came back. Sure. Right, we're going to lose our Baral. Feels like our deck probably needs more Uros in. This Green Sun Zenith package hasn't really been working out for us. Right, getting their Bowboys back. And we discard a Tropical Island. Play the Bow Boys. This will pump their Orcish army to attack for 2 this turn. Just F6 through this and take the beats. I guess we'll cast this As Foretold. Okay, so we can cast Crashing Footfalls if we find it. We're keeping this Misty Rainforest in hand in case we get some hymns later on, I suppose. But we can always play out if we draw another land. Maybe our opponent will forget that they've seen it and make a misplay around it. Seems very unlikely, but... An Abrade. It's not the one, is it? We might have to Abrade the army, which is not really where I want to be. There's a Ponder. And a Thoughtseize. Okay. Get rid of the army. We can't draw extra cards because of the Narset anyway, so there's no point killing the Bowmasters. We may as well give ourselves more draw steps to find something. Goodbye, As Foretold. We have an Uro. That does something. Gains us 3 life. And I guess we'll put a land in. And then next turn, we can make a guy that does stuff. That's exciting. We'll also have a Narset. They're not going to get any value from their Bowmasters. Dryad Arbor's already gone, so we don't have anything to fetch with the Misty. Liliana, the Last Hope. Sure. Interesting choice. I guess they have Snapcast in their deck. A little Strix. We'll take our 1 from the Bowmasters. They still have this Lightning Bolt in their hand. So we'll crack this to try and help ourselves draw something better. I think we're getting a Trop here. It's not really the one, is it? Okay. Green, green, blue, blue. We'll get rid of fetch land, fetch land, fetch land, fetch land, and greens and Zenith can go. Will this resolve? Who knows? Alright, we get to draw no cards and gain 3 life. That's something. We now have the biggest creature on the board, but they have a Baleful Strix, so not ideal. So the only reason we have to be careful with what we exile with the Euro is because we have an Endurance that can shuffle our own graveyard in if we need it. Right, they're shrinking our guy. They're Lightning Bolting our guy. They need to do 2 more damage to it. They're Lightning Bolting it again. Okay. That's fine. That was a lot of cards. Have they got Cling to Dust or something? They do have Cling to Dust in their graveyard. Sure. Goodbye, win condition. A Lightning Bolt. I guess we hold that one. There's some options with it. Ancestral Vision doesn't feel great right about. We can draw a Baral. We can Lightning Bolt something out of the way. Then attack with the Ragavan, killing a Narset or a Liliana. Another Baleful Strix. Yep. Our opponent's gone through a lot of their deck. They've seen like 12 more cards than us. Sure, upping the Liliana with no targets. I think we take the 3 here. If we're in a situation where we have a cantrip, maybe we can kill the Narset. I don't know. Plague Engineer. Right, that beats for more. So what are they going to name with this? They're going to name Monkey for the Ragavan? Or they're going to name like Birds of Paradise? So I could name Bird. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see. Giant. Okay, just for Array, which we only have 1 of in our deck. And it's no longer in our deck. We drew the birds. We have to decide if we want to kill the Liliana now or if we want to save it to keep ourselves alive. I think we have to shoot their creatures here and just let the Liliana tick up. I do get to kill our Birds of Paradise here. Yep. Okay, let's kill this because this is the biggest threat right now. Yep. I think in a world of Orcish Bowmasters, our deck doesn't really work. Alright, this is just to scry 2. A 1 mana scry 2. The Blood Moon is no longer good, so this can go on the bottom, this can go on the top. So next turn we have an Endurance, so we can gobble up an Orcish Bowmasters in combat maybe. What is this? A Cling to Dust. Yeah, these Grixis control decks are pretty brutal. I don't know if they're the best shell for Bowmasters. I think it's either this or the Grixis Tempo deck. They're both pretty strong. There's just so many cards that are just naturally good on their own, but also are kind of like prison pieces now with Narset and Orcish Bowmasters. Makes things a little bit grim. Sure, they're going to get back their Snapcaster Mage and Lightning Bolt us. We'll cast this now, I think. Get rid of their graveyard. Yeah, they've gone through 2/3 of their deck. It's quite a lot. That way it plays around a Snapcaster. They're relying on Snapcaster Bolt. Right, we're dead to that. Yeah, so our deck can't really beat Narset and Bowmasters together. Awkward. So we are 0-4. However, I think we can get a win with this deck. I think it's possible, so we're going to give it a go. Alright, so we're on the play here. We have turn 1, Bird, turn 2, As Foretold. We don't quite have anywhere to go with it, but we can ponder on turn 3 to find something good to do with As Foretold. Like, this is kind of how we drew it up a little bit, so let's see. Volcanic Island. Alright, they're just going to bolt our Birds of Paradise straight off. Your mental misstep? A daze. Sure, we will not pay for this. You're going to brainstorm at end step? No. Brainstorm with the mana before it goes? They are not. Sure. Volcanic Island again. Another Force of Will. I don't hate that. You playing Stifle over there? You're not playing Stifle. Let's do a Ponder before we have to worry about Boys. Ancestral Vision. That's quite a nice one to have, isn't it? Don't really want the Collector Ouphe, so we'll bury that one. Okay, so we've got a Force of Will for something that's going to mess us up. And the plan is to As Foretold into Ancestral Vision. That should be pretty good. Right, our opponent not playing anything over there. They are a Daze deck. It does beg a few questions why they're not playing anything. This probably means Orcish Boys. We don't want the Collector Ouphe underneath this, so let's crack this. We don't need another red source just yet. Wouldn't mind a green source for Uro, so maybe we'll get a Trop here. Let's cast our As Foretold. A Force of Will. Okay, we will Force of Will back. If we pitch the Baral, we can maybe draw a blue card to go with our Force here. It's a Brainstorm, or they got like something annoying. A Flusterstorm. That is annoying. Is it more important for me to force this through? How am I going to force this through? If I hadn't have pitched the Baral, then I would have let that go. But alright, so we get our As Foretold now? Sure. Flusterstorm in our opponent's deck makes me think we're looking at maybe a combo deck. And the fact that they have Dazes, which is a tempo card, but haven't played any tempo stuff, which means it's probably to defend a big play. So we're just going to get like Show and Tell soon? I don't know. Alright. Come on, deck. Okay. If we draw a land next turn, we at least have Hardcast Force of Will available. Right. Is there anything for 3 mana? But it looks like I might have something for 4 mana. It's going to be a sneak attack. It is a sneak attack. That's not going to be amazing for us. Alright. Oh, no. Let's not suspend that. Let's cast this for ourselves. Let's get some cards. There's all lands. We have to counterspell anything we get the opportunity to counterspell. Ponder, Brainstorm, Intuition, anything. Alright, they're looking for another piece. Right, we're just going to draw 3 more cards. What do I have? The Uro or the Baral in play here? We just want maximum permanence, don't we? Let's get this Baral in. Let's get this Green Sun Zenith in. Get a Collector Ouphe. I'm not expecting this Collector Ouphe to do very much, but it's going to attack for 2. We need to Force of Will any cantrip. Oh no, what is it? Is it Emrakul? It's Emrakul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are on exactly 15. Okay, we're just... Alright. Not great. Invisible Betrayal and Force of Negation though. These are the ones we want. Crashing Footfalls, less good here. So this is how we drew it up. 4. We probably don't need an Endurance here either. Lightning Bolts can be useful. Like if their life total is a little bit low from a Grizzlebrand, or if we just need to finish the last bits of damage, it gives us a Ragavan token on their turn. There's uses for it. Pyroblast can replace one of them though. Is Abrade better? I don't think so. Alright, this is what we're doing. Okay. Not a fan of having this Dryad Arbor in our hand. I'll keep this. I think we can Ponder on turn 1. So this needs to be a Volcanic Island. But then we're probably just holding up Pyroblast for a while after that. Yeah, I like these cards. I guess we put this on the bottom, then the Halfling, then the As Foretold. Okay, Floodstrand. Sure, we get to untap with Pyroblast and Force of Will backup with numerous blue cards, if it comes down to it. We'll play out this Dryad Arbor and pass the turn. We could get Magus of the Moon. That would be annoying. It's one of the reasons why I like Lightning Bolt a little bit. Right, a cracking one. A Ponder. I think we fight over the Show and Tell rather than these. Now, if they have just a sneak attack, that's going to be annoying, obviously. Lots of things are annoying for us, is what I'm saying. Okay. So we have a choice if we want to carry on holding up the Pyroblast, or if we want to jam this As Foretold and try and draw some cards. I think we want to hold up the Pyroblast. So I'm just going to play this Delighted Halfling and this Island. So we have Force of Will blue card, Force of Will blue card, and Pyroblast. Our opponent is unlikely to resolve a Show and Tell or a Sneak Attack. Sneak Attack is a bit harder, but we counter the counter spells with the Pyroblasts. There's an Ancient Tomb, cracking the Scalding Tarn. A Fury. How annoyed am I by Fury? It takes up half of our mana base. I think we just have to let this go. As annoying as that is, we still have Pyroblast and all these Force of Wills. If we find a land, then we might be able to deploy an As Foretold. So at least there's a pitch card. What do they pitch to it? A Sneak Attack. Okay. Goodbye, my creatures. Volcanic Island. So we have a choice of whether or not we hold up the Pyroblast or we jam the As Foretold. I think we just hold up the Pyroblast. Eventually we'll draw another land and we can jam the As Foretold and draw some cards, hopefully. We can always Pyroblast to try and get that to go. A Sneak Attack. I would like to cast Force of Will. Pitching... I think it has to be Ancestral here. A red Elemental Blast. That resolves. And we will cast this. Pitching an As Foretold. Alright. That's 2 Sneak Attacks gone. This Pyroblast has got to do some work for us. Pay our land. Pass turn. Show and Tell. This is what the Pyroblast is for. Alright. I was very close to conceding there, expecting them to have something. Right, we'll crack this now for a Tropical Island. Force of Negation. Okay. We get to keep playing this game. I have some cards that are just good cards. Well, not good cards necessarily, but I have cards that I can play on their own. They don't need an A+B. We can't drop the shields here. We have nothing to do with our As Foretold either, so we'll just hold up this Force of Negation for the foreseeable future. See if we can get this elusive match win. A Ponder. I like Ponder. Force of Negation, Ancestral Vision, Wooded Foothills. Okay, I think we put this... then this, and this. Our opponent's got a bunch of cards, and I don't want to drop the Force of Negation hard cast here. Whereas next turn we can then play our As Foretold with Force of Negation without burning our Ancestral. I guess we are playing into days slightly here. Can I have an As Foretold? Red Elemental Blast. I don't think we even suspend this Ancestral. I think we have to save it as a blue card. Now, our opponent could just draw a Fury and just start beating down with it, and that will win the game. I think they should have just waited and played the Fury that way. Yeah, so this is probably going to beat us now. They played the Petal out first for the purposes of days. So we're drawing this land that we don't want. It can fetch a Dryad Arbor to block with. So. No, it can't. Our Dryad Arbor's gone. Okay, understood. Oh, dear. We've got 2 lightning bolts in our deck. We've got an Uro. Our deck needs more Uros, definitely. Let's crack this. We'll get a basic forest just in case there is a blood moon somewhere in our future. From our opponent's side. Green Sun Zenith. This can get Uro, but it might have to get the endurance here. I don't want to put these things in our opponent's deck. A Flusterstorm. Right, we can't do anything about that. Should get Furied to death, I think. And we're going to get the reverse trophy. We have a Baral. This can block and keep us alive for a turn. I said this can keep us alive for a turn. Don't be pausing and trying to kill us. If they give us a Force of Negation target, we can make a 2-1 as well. They're not going to do that though. We have so many dead draws right now. Okay, we'll run it back. If we have suspended this Ancestral Visions a million turns ago, you could have drawn some cards by now. A Brainstorm. Oh, I'll take this. Exile this, pitching this. And this gives us a 2-1 to block with. Which means if we find a sorcery, we can do our Ancestral Vision. This is good. Just need to find a sorcery. A Flusterstorm. Okay. I guess we can't pay for this, so we'll just say no on these. So we could just die to like a Sneak Attack here. But we've kind of done something that gives us a chance to claw back into this game. We can find a sorcery, we might be able to draw a lot of cards next turn, which might help us stabilize. Doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. Looks like we're just going to get bopped again. Oh, a Ponder, okay. So they haven't got it all sewn up. They did not shuffle the library, so we are dead. There's another Fury. A Sneak Attack. What are you going to put in? Something spicy. An Archon of Cruelty. We died to the trigger. Sure. We got absolutely clowned. Let's talk about this failure of a deck. So, this was an 0-5, which is abysmal. We were very close to beating the lands player. We only needed one thing to go our way. but they got the crop rotation at the last moment to get the Tabernacle when we had their Marit Lage beat. So in that round, our deck looked reasonable, right? It looked like a contender. Whereas in all the other rounds, we got kind of ruined. I think some of the problems we were facing was the One Ring deck is very binary in the way the games go. They either smash you to pieces or your Collector Ouphe type stuff gets the job done. And that's it, really. And we didn't get to Collector Ouphe. We also didn't get to Blood Moon against lands, which is unfortunate too. Bowmasters absolutely ruins us. The whole thing our deck's trying to do is draw a bunch of cards using Ancestral Visions and our cantrips. And we lost to Bowmasters a lot. 3 Lightning Bolts in our deck is not good enough to beat the Bowmasters. Even when we board in a couple of Abrade, that's still nowhere near enough. This is Orcish Bowmasters format, and we're just living in it. This deck, prior to Orcish Bowmasters coming to Legacy, I think this deck would not have gone 0-5. I think we probably could have squeaked out a couple of wins along the way. I just think the new Lord of the Rings stuff has been quite hostile to decks like this. We don't really have the space to grind because the One Ring decks mean that you have to do something to impact them really quickly or you lose. And the Bowmaster decks stop you from being able to grind because they get rid of your ability to draw extra cards. So they kind of get you coming and going, right? Whichever sort of category you fall into of those two decks, you're going to get beasted. We did also lose to Show and Tell. That's just a thing that's going to happen sometimes. I think our deck is probably okay in that matchup. Like, they are a real deck, so they are going to be favoured. But it's not like we're just completely not doing anything. We've got good tools for it. Inevitable Betrayal is really good against them. Obviously, we just get an Emrakul or an Archon or something, and it's game over. So I think that matchup is, pretty winnable. We got a bit unfortunate on that one, I'd say. But another thing here is Brainstorm is much better than Preordain. So running Preordain because our engine, but what Preordain doesn't do is fix your hand. It fixes the top of your deck quite nicely, but your hand, if it's got bad cards in it, they are staying in your hand. And that is an issue. Like, we had games where we kept flooding on lands, and then we had games where we didn't have enough lands. Brainstorm, digging 3, and shuffling it around so we get our lands would be a lot more useful in those situations. So, what is the verdict for As Foretold and Kari Zev? I'm not sure if it's just this configuration. So we could have played, like I mentioned earlier, we could have played like a Bant build. So we could cut this whole Green Sun Zenith package here, and we could run some white sources. So we could run Delighted Halflings still, but then we could also run white sources, so we can run Teferi and Minsk and Boo, and Prismatic Ending is one of our sorceries. The problem with doing that is that we're kind of playing just a bad version of Hot Band, right? We're not kind of doing our own thing. We're not trying to find a new space. We're just taking a good deck and making it worse. So I don't think that's the way to go with this. What is the way to go with this? That is the tricky one, I would say. There could be a world where we try messing with other colours. So, the core of this stuff is red-blue. So maybe we could do something with this and one of the other cards. Because obviously Crashing Footfalls is pretty good. And Ancestral Vision is pretty good. So we'd lose Crashing Footfalls, but we could gain some of the other ones. Now the white one is like Balance, I think. And it's Balance or Replenish. And the black one is Living End. I can't remember if there's another black one. So I'm not really sure what we're getting off that. And the red one, I think there's Warp World and Wheel of Fortune. So maybe we could do something with those. Quite what that would be, I don't know. But maybe that's some space to look here. Well, I would say if I was to play this rug version again, I would consider increasing the number of Uros. That definitely feels like a thing we need. It's just like the best way for us to win the game, really. And then what would we be doing with these? Probably stripping out some of these for Uros. So we could have like 4 Uros just pounded in there. And maybe just 4 Delighted Halflings. And then that gives us a couple of slots to play with. So maybe get some more removal in there. But I just don't think this deck has the legs on it. We didn't expect it to win in a league. I wasn't expecting it to win no rounds though. We did win some games and we got close to winning the lands matchup. So a little bit disappointing for this one. But the reason why we play all weird and wonderful stuff is because, one, it can be quite fun to see new stuff popping off and doing all various bits and pieces. And two, sometimes you just never know, right? If you don't test stuff and work out like whether the shells are good. So what I would say is in this game, so the As Foretold felt pretty good at casting our 0-drops. This felt like a good thing to do. The Baral did not. When I played Baral before in the other deck, I played it with instants that had pitch costs. So we would go like Baral, and then we could either do like a Force of Will, Force of Negation, or a Daze, and just get some free value off of it very easily. And that felt a lot better. And that felt like maybe had a bit more legs to it. Now, that's a very different sort of deck. And you don't have the redundant cards like we do with As Foretold when you're doing sorceries. Because with like that mode, you're playing higher CMC spells. You know, you play a Force of Will, you can get a 4-drop. That's pretty cool. So maybe I will tinker with a different Baral build. Like, I don't think Baral is amazing, but I think it's an interesting card that has some quite unique effects that we could do some cool stuff with. I'm not expecting to win any leagues, but I think we could put up a decent showing at some point. So I'm going to go back to the old drawing board, and I think I'm probably going to end up looking at some sort of Grixis deck here with the Baral, but we'll see how that pans out. But for today, obviously not very successful, but if you enjoyed it, that's something, right? So like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, become a YouTube member, whatever. It all helps me out, and I hope you appreciate the content. And who else is going to spend their play points to play this pile of junk, right? Okay, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.